Hey there, today we're going to pull back the curtain on human resources, and believe me, it's so much more than you might think. We're going to explore this powerful, often invisible ecosystem that shapes, well, pretty much everything about your workplace, from who gets hired to how your company survives in the future. So, let's dive right in.
I mean, it's a fair question, right? When you think HR, your mind probably jumps straight to the admin stuff. You know, the contracts, the pay stubs, all those onboarding forms. But honestly, that's just scratching the surface. If we stop there, we're missing the real story, the dynamic action happening just underneath.
Because the reality is, it's way more interesting. The best way to think about HR today is as a living, breathing ecosystem. It's not some static department stuck in an office. It's a responsive system that's constantly being molded by all sorts of pressures, both from inside the company and from the big, wide world. Let's start by looking inside the organization itself.
Okay, so let's start our journey from the inside out. What are the internal dynamics that give a company's HR its unique flavor? We're talking about the forces that are born and bred right there, within the company's own walls.
So, you've got four big ones shaping HR from the inside. The company's official goals, the role of any trade unions, the inevitable conflicts that pop up, and maybe the most powerful of them all, the organization's culture. And while they're all super important, culture is kind of like the company's DNA. It influences everything else. So let's zoom in on that one. So organizational culture might sound like a simple definition, but its impact, it's absolutely massive. You really can think of it as a company's DNA, those shared values and beliefs that dictate all the unwritten rules about how things really get done. And that DNA, well, it directly codes every single HR practice.
And here's a perfect real-world example of what I mean. This quote shows a direct line from a cultural value to an HR philosophy. See, Tata's culture isn't about micromanagement. It's built on trust and autonomy. So what does their HR system do? It's designed to attract and empower the best people, not to control them. The culture literally dictates the strategy.
All right, so we've had a look at the internal landscape. Now, let's zoom out, because let's be real, no company exists in a bubble. The HR ecosystem is constantly reacting to some really powerful forces coming from the outside world.
Every single organization has to deal with these four major external pressures. You've got the economy, which dictates everything from wages to how many people are looking for jobs. Political and legal systems, which basically write the rule book for employment. Technology is constantly changing what jobs even look like. And then you have demographic shifts, things like an aging workforce or more women in leadership, that change the very nature of who we hire and how we manage. The political legal framework is a perfect example of this in action. It's really a three-part system. First, you have the legislature, think Parliament or Congress, creating the actual labor laws. Then, the executive branch of the government is responsible for putting those laws into practice. And finally, the judiciary acts like a watchdog, making sure all those laws line up with the Constitution. This system creates the non-negotiable boundaries that every HR department has to work within. And here's a really clear example of an economic force at work. When inflation goes up, the cost of living goes up for everybody. In some places, like India, HR policies have to respond directly to this with something called a dearness allowance. It's a part of your salary that automatically goes up as the cost of living index rises. See? This isn't just a choice the company makes, it's the HR ecosystem adapting to a huge macroeconomic reality.
Okay, so we've seen the forces inside and the forces outside, but the hardest part of strategic HR isn't just reacting to them. It's about managing the constant, often paradoxical tensions they create. This is where HR goes from just being reactive to being truly strategic.
Now this is a really crucial point. Advanced HR isn't about finding some single best practice and calling it a day. It's a constant balancing act. It's all about navigating this tug of war between ideas that are equally valid but, well, they pull in opposite directions. It's not an either-or world. It's a both-and world. Let's look at two of the biggest tensions right now. First up, you have this classic tension between commitment and control. A commitment system is all about empowering your employees to earn their loyalty and drive innovation. A control system, on the other hand, is all about efficiency and cutting costs through strict rules. And here's the strategic challenge. Any successful company needs a bit of both. You have to control your costs while also building the kind of commitment that actually leads to growth. The second huge tension is between fit and flexibility. Strategic fit means making sure your HR practices are perfectly aligned with your company's strategy right now. And that's incredibly efficient if you live in a perfectly stable world. But we don't, right? So you also need strategic flexibility, the ability to adapt when things inevitably change. The tension is that building in that flexibility costs money, but being too rigid can literally make you obsolete. The best HR leaders are managing this balance every single day.
Okay, so for our final section, let's look ahead. The entire HR ecosystem is being completely reshaped as we speak by a few massive trends. And these aren't some abstract ideas about the future. They are happening right now.
81%. Just let that number sink in. That's the share of companies expected to be using a hybrid work model. This is not a fad, people. This is a fundamental restructuring of what the workplace even means. And it's forcing a complete reinvention of HR, from how we collaborate to how we manage performance.
And check this out. The market for diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, is on track to hit over $15 billion by 2026. This isn't just some number on a spreadsheet. It's a massive signal about what businesses are prioritizing. It shows a huge strategic push to build more inclusive and equitable workplaces all around the world.
So when you pull it all together, the future of this HR ecosystem is really being defined by these key shifts. You've got generative AI coming in to automate and personalize HR tasks. You've got the total dominance of hybrid work. There's a critical new focus on employee well-being to fight burnout. We have the explosive growth of DEI, and of course, the use of people analytics to make smarter, data-driven decisions.
But as we're all racing toward this super tech-driven future, this quote from HR specialist Sahana Rao is such a crucial reminder. Technology, especially AI, isn't just about efficiency. It's about people. Building trust by being clear and ethical in how you communicate is absolutely essential. The how we use these new tools is every bit as important as what they can do.
And you know, that really leaves us with one final critical question. As this whole HR ecosystem evolves with AI and analytics and constant change, the central challenge is still a deeply human one. How do we use all of this change, not just for the sake of efficiency, but to actually create workplaces that are more connected, more inclusive, and, at the end of the day, more human? That's the real question that every single leader is facing right now.